Alrighty guys, so what I have here is a gauge from P3 Gauges, and what this does is it's going to monitor like boost, vacuum. It's going to monitor all these different things. It basically plugs into your OBD2 port, and it also has 2 analog inputs, so I can like monitor air fuel ratio and stuff like that. It'll monitor IATs. It'll do a bunch of different kinds of stuff. But this gauge is especially cool because, you know, I found a lot of gauges online, and most of them would go on like the side pillar of your car, or they'd just be kind of sitting there awkwardly. But this is cool because what it does is it goes here. It goes right where the factory air vent is, and the gauge sits right on this this kind of ventilation thing here. So it still operates and functions as a normal air vent, but you also have a gauge right here, so it looks pretty much stock in its factory. I don't have a gauge like sitting here. I don't have a gauges lined up and down my pillar like in the way. So this is pretty cool because it's going to be right there kind of inconspicuously, and I'm very excited to install this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the entire guide before I install the gauge, and then we're going to get started. Alrighty, so I've connected all of the wires and the harnesses to the actual gauge, well, the gauge vent, I'm going to call it. So we're going to plug it in just to make sure the gauge is functioning correctly, and then we'll actually install it. Down here, that is my OBD2 port, and that's where we're going to plug it in, just like that. And obviously you have to start your car to make sure the gauge works, so I'm going to open this garage door here so I don't smoke myself out. Alrighty, let's start the car up and see what happens here. Your RPMs, so that's where it's hovering right now, which is accurate. Obviously there's the analog gauge and there's the digital gauge of the RPMs. Speed 0, obviously I'm not going anywhere. 0 to 60, this is cool. So yeah, it'll show your 0 to 60 time, so you can you'll get an accurate 0 to 60 reading, which is pretty cool. And I think there's a 0 to 100. Oh, that's battery, voltage, boost, which obviously is negative right now because we're not moving, and coolant temp 86, IAT1. There's a bunch of different things, so we're going to keep it at RPM. Let's keep it at boost right now. We'll keep it as a boost gauge. And I'm going to turn the car off, and then we're going to actually install this. So now that the gauge works, we're going to install it and see how the fitment is. It should be perfect because I think this is a direct factory replacement vent. So the fun part is going to be trying to figure out how to get the vent out. So I'm using this tiny screwdriver because it's like really hard to get an actual screwdriver back there because you have that much room. Unfortunately, I don't have a small enough socket to get back there, so I have to use this one. Alrighty, so I got the gauge installed, and this is what it looks like finished. I hid all the wiring and the little box and everything behind here, and kind of zip tied it all together so it was nice and neat. And then if you look down here, under there is there's the wire right here that comes down and into the OBD2 port, so that'll always stay plugged in. And it functions and works just like a regular air vent. That's the coolest part about this gauge. As you can see, there's the air vent. You can see down in there, closed, open. It still turns just like a regular Camaro air vent, and retains all of the functionality. And then it has a little gauge right here. So when you're sitting here, you can look over to your left, and you can monitor anything really, from IATs to air fuel ratio to pretty much 0 to 60 times and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Haven't really looked at what all it can do, but I know it does a lot of the stuff that I wanted it to do, so that's really cool. So we're just gonna start it up here real quick, make sure everything works. And there you go. That's actually my boost gauge right now I have on. And there's these buttons up here that you can switch different things. See, it's on boost right now. IAT 1, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And what IAT stands for is in-air temperature. It's basically the temperature under your hood, the engine bay. And you want that to obviously be lower because it'd be more efficient and obviously more horsepower, just better performance overall. So that's a great thing to monitor, especially when driving in the summer when it's really hot, or like driving on the track. So yeah, the gauge works good. I'm gonna give it a little HVAC test too to make sure the air vent's working properly. Alrighty, so we got air coming out of there, and we've got air coming right out of there. So there you go. Vent works great. Closed, open, twist and tilt, doesn't matter. The gauge still works no matter what you do. So this is a very, very cool feature. I really like it. So the only real issue I had about the installation wasn't anything to do with the gauge. It was actually everything to do with how this car was designed from the factory. There's actually 3 screws on the back of this vent. The one here, and one here, which is extremely hard to get to. I'm not sure why GM put that there. I guess just to have an added support, but I only have 2 of these screwed in, and they're screwed in tight, and it's very solid. I have no problem with it whatsoever. The vent isn't going anywhere. The vent is literally, it's extremely light, so I didn't even bother to screw that one in because it was so hard to get out in the first place. I mean, other than that screw, everything's really easy. You just have to pop this side off here, as you saw in the video, and I was doing a bunch of other stuff that you really didn't need to do. Like, I tried to pop this bezel off because I was trying to get that screw out is what I was trying to do. And as far as the actual product goes, it works great, it looks great, it's factory. That is a factory vent that is just modified with the gauge inside of it. So you know it's going to fit, you know it's going to work in your Camaro. It's not like it's an aftermarket vent that a company made that is very similar and the fitment is good. Now the fitment's perfect because it is a factory vent. So there's also 2 other analog hookups to this gauge if you wanted to monitor other things as well, so that's good. I think I would give the overall look of the gauge a 10 out of 10 just because, like I said, it looks factory and it's very clean. It's kind of very inconspicuous. It hides nicely in there. There's nothing, no cluster or anything like that. There's nothing literally you are adding to the setup. You know, nothing's gonna stick out. You're literally subtracting the other vent flap. Like if you see this side, this is what it used to look like. So you have this bottom vent flap here and the top one. Well, basically this bottom one is now taken out, and in place of it is the gauge. So that's pretty awesome. So thanks again to Jake and the guys from P3 Cars for sending me this custom gauge for my Camaro. I can't wait to go try it out. I couldn't today because it was actually starting to snow, so that's another reason why I installed it in my garage. But hopefully I'll get to go out in the next couple days and actually get to use the gauge and see how cool it is. This is the original, basically, air vent from the ZL1, and like I said in the video, it's a direct factory replacement. The cool thing about this company is they make everything in the US, so it's a USA made product, and it doesn't void your warranty or anything like that. It just plugs right into your OBD2 port, and the direct factory replacement vent goes right in there with the gauge already installed. Very easy. So if you want a custom gauge for your car, you can go to their website. It's p3cars.com, or you can go to p3gauges.com, and you can find out if your car has an available custom gauge for the air vent. There's a bunch of different cars in there off the top of my head I can name. Obviously there's Camaro, they have one for the Mustang, they have one for Volkswagen, they have some for BMW. So they have a bunch on there already. So go check out their website and see if you can find a gauge for your car. Also, before I end the video real quick, I'm going to do another shout out to a guy that sent me something the other day. Jack Bettendorf sent me a letter in my P.O. box, and he was just saying that basically he just likes to relax at the end of the night and watch my videos, keep up the hard work. You're so close to 50,000 subs. So he sent this on November 9th, so that was before I actually hit 50,000, but as you know now, I'm almost at 53, which is awesome. And he talks about my Jeep and the ZL1 and everything like that. And his Instagram is jacks_car_page. So go check him out there, and thanks Jack for the letter. I'll be hanging this up on my subscriber wall in my garage. So if you guys want to send me anything in my P.O. box, it's P.O. Box 4126, Harrisburg, PA 17111. All that's in the description, as well as all of my social media links down there. Hit that subscribe button, and have a great day.